Good morning, everybody. We're just getting milking going here in the morning. We got all the milkers off the wash trays. Now we're gonna go put the milk line in the bulk tank here, and then we'll go grab some cows. We always milk the east group first, so we move all the gates through the west group so that they can just walk right through up into the holding area. Cows are up into the holding area. I'm gonna finish raking these beds out, get all the manure out, then I'm gonna scrape the alleys. And this morning I'll be putting bedding in, so we're also gonna do that. Got this gutter agitating here. All the manure gets pushed in here. Now we just gotta circulate the water in the pit here, or the liquid manure. And that keeps it from piling up in this slot and pulls it right into the pit underneath the concrete here. So that's the bedding. We just huck it in as far up into the beds as we possibly can. This way it's gonna stay in there a bit longer. And probably bed the cows once every 2 weeks. It's just sand bedding. We get it at the back of the field this barn is built on. It is pretty moist when you toss it in the beds here, but it dries up real quick. About 4 to 6 beds with 1 bucket of sand, and when I lift it up to go dump that full bucket, you can definitely feel the weight in the Bobcat. Sometimes she starts to tip over. You just gotta make sure you dump it quick enough. So we're all done with the east side, gonna let the cows back in, and then we're gonna do the same for the west side once we grab those cows. All of the cows on the east group and some on the west group have a little blue mark on their head, and that's because we just had the hoof trimmer out here and he was just marking all the girls that got done. Couldn't quite do a group a day, so he came back the second day and did the other half of the group. So whoa. Let's see if I can give this cow a noogie. Back of the parlor now, and this cow is a 3-teater. This front left quarter dried up, doesn't produce milk anymore, so we quit milking it, and that means we can only hang 3 of these cups on there. So what we do is we plug one of them off so that the vacuum isn't weaker for the other 3. Put that plug in there, and then we'll hang her under with only 3 teats on there. Then we just kink the 1 cup over like this so it hangs nicely. We still want it to hang evenly on the other 3 teats, otherwise it won't milk out properly. So this is the GoPro I use to record the videos. I had it set right there to film myself hanging the milkers under. The cow started to pee. So that's why I use a GoPro. You can just chuck it on the ground, hose it right off. It's good as new. The hoof trimmer is back here this morning, so we're just going to put his sheet back in the same place it was yesterday so that he can finish up that west side there. I was just bringing this thing up into the front of the barn here, and I noticed the lately Juno was there pushing feed, so good thing I saw that. This field right here is one of our barley fields. This field is maybe 55 acres, and we have about a total of 340 acres that we want to silage. We shouldn't need to chop any more of that this year, but it's getting really close to being time to chop, and it's kind of a bit of a fine art to know when to take this stuff. You want as much starch in this silage as possible. That's the energy the cow is going to consume when she eats this stuff from the silage pit, and we got to time it perfectly. Chopping is going to take 3 to 4 days, so we want to start on the early side, and then halfway through it should be perfect, and then towards the end of the 3 to 4 days it should be on the later side. So we're just gonna look at this. We took a moisture sample and we're drying it right now, so we'll see what that is at. But just to walk through the field here and kind of gauge it, we'll pull a head of the barley out and we'll pop a kernel, and there should be no moisture breaking out of this. But if I pop this one, there's a little bit of moisture there. So this is on the early side. It's got to be perfectly doughy. And this head is a little bit further along. It's probably closer to good. So there's still a little bit of moisture coming out of that, so it's still a little bit on the early side. So here we have one of the kernels squeezed out, and you can tell it's pretty doughy. So this is pretty much right. We don't want to see any moisture when we squeeze it. If we squeeze it as hard as we can and we get any moisture out of it, that's technically too early. But it goes off of the entire moisture of the entire plant once it's chopped up. So we're doing that right now. So it's definitely pretty close, tomorrow or the day after. So for you guys, the next video will be starting to chop this barley. Busiest days of the entire year for us chopping this stuff. We do it all ourselves. Now we do it ourselves so we can hit it perfectly on the right time. It's such a small window when to take this stuff. If you have to wait on a custom worker at all, you know, if it's just a couple days late, you're gonna lose so much feed value, and that is so expensive, and that's why we always do it ourselves. We don't do a ton of acres, so we're not really a priority, and that's understandable. We're pretty far out of the way for the custom workers out here as well, so we just do it ourselves. Reason we don't do any corn, that would overlap with the time that we got to combine all the crops, so we need the trucks for that. And corn takes a lot longer to mature and fully grow versus barley, so we can better and more consistently get a quality silage in the pit with barley versus corn. But corn does have its advantages, obviously. The tonnage you're going to get off corn, it's going to pretty much beat barley out of the park every single year. Unless you get a really wet spring and a really dry fall, tonnage wise, you're always going to win with corn. And that's why a lot of guys like to do corn. But for us, barley is good. We get high quality feed every time, and or most of the time, and that's why we do barley. That is going to be it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Check out the Instagram @SaskDutchKid, and as always, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.